My family, my fans, greetings to you all. We want to know how we can make our chicken egg machines. We can make our birds to produce on time, then to produce a high amount of eggs for a certain period and sustain that. Basically, in a layman's language, we want to know factually or scientifically how we can make our birds start producing like exactly at 16 weeks and produce a very high amount of eggs, and we sustain that scientifically, not theoretically, and what you not hypothesis and beliefs. This is science. Well, this is AIM Agriculture, your full-time poultry plug. If you're new to our YouTube channel, guys, kindly hit the subscribe button, like, and share as much as you can. Wow. Today, I just want to give you a test of our layers chicken farming masterclass, so that for those ones who have not enrolled as my students, you can see what you're missing. Let me pick one topic which I've fully discussed in the masterclass and just preempt it for you. Chapter number 5, egg formation and production and sustainability of the egg curve. Let's start. In egg production, we look at 6 important hormones. These hormones are the ones that form a basis of us producing our first egg exactly at week 16, sustaining 97 to 98% production for a period of between week 36 and week 52, and then we can go with that curve dropping from 98 slowly, not sharply, slowly. By the time we are hitting week 72, we have a production of still 85%. Hormone number 1. These are the gonadotrophin hormones. We actually refer to them as release hormones. The gonadotrophin hormones are produced in the hypothalamus of the chicken brain. Why are we referring to the gonadotrophin hormones as a release hormone? The main function of the gonadotrophin hormone is actually to stimulate production of other essential hormones in the anterior pituitary gland of the brain. For example, hormone number 2, the follicle stimulating hormone, FSH. The follicle stimulating hormone is produced in the anterior pituitary gland of the brain under stimulation of the GNR, the gonadotrophin hormones. The main function of the follicle stimulating hormone is to enhance development of the oocytes. Is to enhance development of the ovarian cells or the ovarian follicles, which contain the oocytes, which you can in other terms refer to as the egg cell. An oocyte is an egg. So, if you have sufficient amount of follicle stimulating hormone, FSH, being produced in the right amounts, it simply means that we are stimulating a very high amount of the ovarian follicles development, which contain then a higher amount of the oocytes, which are now I can call them the micro eggs. That is basically like the germplasm of the egg. Now formation of eggs has started. If we have to have a very high production of eggs, if your birds are not producing eggs, if your birds have not started laying by week 16, what do? We introduce a little bit of the gonads or the gonadotrophin hormones, but then supplement the FSH, the follicle stimulating hormones. so that formation of the oocytes starts immediately. But then this one means that this is done during the growing stage. The moment the bud hits the second month, the gonads start being produced and they start stimulating production of the FSH, which is the follicle stimulating hormones, and the oocytes start formation. That is at week 12, the third month. So if you're not giving your buds the right type of feed, or if you're not giving your buds feed that does not have the right nutrition or nutrients that will stimulate the right and sufficient amounts of the gonads and the follicle stimulating hormone production, it means that you're missing out on something. These hormones will start being secreted at now week 16. That means that we would have postponed our egg production further forward. This one leads us now to the third hormone, LH. Luteinizing hormone is also produced by the anterior pituitary gland of the brain, or rather of the chicken brain, whose main function is to stimulate ovulation. The oocytes have been formed, or eggs have been formed in the initial stage. Now we need a hormone that will remind the ovarian follicles that, oh, the ovaries are heavy, release an egg. That is now what we call ovulation. So then luteinizing hormone becomes a very key essential hormone in the bud, simply because we can have the oocytes formed and then they cluster. The eggs are clustered. Sometimes when you're doing a postmortem or an antemortem, you find that when you open the ovaries, you find so many eggs, but the bud was not laying. This was because of deficiency in the luteinizing hormone, whose function is just supposed to remind the ovaries to produce the formed egg. And that's where now you can find yourself that your buds are laying daily. An egg today, an egg tomorrow, an egg the other day, because of the sufficient amounts of luteinizing hormones. Now, the ova or the egg has been released. This one takes us to the next hormone, which is now the estrogen or the estrogen, as you may love it. The estrogen is produced by the ovarian follicles. Estrogen or estrogen plays a vital role in now egg development. It enhances the reproductive system or tract of the bud to enhance development of the egg. For example, the egg yolk, the albumen or the egg white, and other key egg ingredients. This is mainly the function of estrogen. This one takes us to the next hormone, which is now progesterone. Progesterone is produced in the ovary. Progesterone plays almost a similar function with hormone number 1, which we are referring to as release hormone, or the gonadotrophin hormones, which is stimulation of the pituitary glands in production of the LH, luteinizing hormone, which then aids or stimulates in ovulation, production of the oocyte, which will now come to the ovary. And then now you have estrogen. Then estrogen now gives a conducive environment and stimulates development of the yolk, the egg white, and other essential egg components. I hope you're enjoying. This is what I have discussed in the masterclass. Now, before we go to the final hormone, someone will ask, by me as a farmer, knowing all these hormones, what are they helping me? When your bud is not laying, it means that when you're doing brainstorming, then we have a problem with all the hormones, starting from the release hormone. But when your buds are laying intermittently, when your egg curve is below the required egg curve, then it means at least you have some release hormone, at least we have some FSH, the follicle stimulating hormone. But then we need to work on the luteinizing hormone, more so luteinizing hormone and the follicle stimulating hormone. Because once these hormones are in plenty, we shall just have eggs being released daily. Then they will come down. Estrogen will just help in now the development of the egg, yolk, albumin, other requirements, germ plasm, the filament holding the egg together. The egg is now pushed down. The progesterone will be there. It will boost more production of the luteinizing hormone. Then you can have more eggs coming. So then as a farmer, we can work with these hormones. When you don't have enough eggs, then we can know which hormone to introduce. By the end of this episode, I'll be able to tell you some of the key herbs, two herbs that you can use to give your birds that are scientifically proven, researched on, that will give you results. Like they'll stimulate the pituitary glands to produce follicle stimulating hormone, like, wow. These are the key hormones that a layer farmer needs to pay attention to. With these, you have your egg production and formation well understood. But then we have got two important hormones, which will form our final basis of discussion. Two important hormones. Hormone number one is the prolactin hormone. Prolactin hormone, again, is produced by the pituitary glands. For these people, or these farmers who are practicing kienyeji chicken farming, sometimes your birds are laying, then they get to a point, they stop laying, and then they start looking for somewhere they can sit on eggs. Or rather, in scientifically referred to it as the birds become broody, or they go broody. When they are broody, automatically they will not lay. And when they are broody, does not mean that when they are broody they cannot feed. They even feed more. That is the function of prolactin hormone. Its main function is to make the bird go broody, sustain broodiness, and enhance cessation of egg production. When we have a high amount of prolactin hormone in the system of the bird will not lay. Or it will really or drastically cut production. Prolactin hormone. So if there's a way you can manage the amounts of prolactin hormone, that's why when our birds are almost week 80, 90, 100, their curve of egg production continues diminishing. At this point, prolactin hormone rises and other hormones now go down. That's why in countries like Israel, we don't have day-old chicks all the time. When the birds get to menopause, they introduce hormones, which are the other three essential hormones, and then they introduce hormones that will inhibit production of prolactin hormone. So it means that this bird will not go into broody stage. It will then start afresh and pick its egg production, which we say is induced or forced molting. You force molt your birds, they will shed their feathers, then they will cut the production of prolactin, and then now they start the egg curve afresh, simply by you managing the hormones. The other ones are hormones like androgens, which do not form a key basis or a major topic of discussion in egg production. Now, a farmer will ask you, in the event that I have birds, they are pure layers, but their production is low, how will then, or where will I get these hormones that you're talking of? These hormones can be gotten in two herbs. These herbs have got oestrogenic or estrogenic properties. They enhance production of estrogen. That's how scholars call it. Sometimes it's nice to go to school and you just enjoy what you learned in school, you know. Estrogen. Number 1 is the fenugreek. F-E-N-U Greek. Mostly we use fenugreek and another herb called anise. A-N-I-S-E. For those of you who love spices, when you're going to the supermarket, go to that corner where I've got herbs and spices. You will find all of these too, and you'll get their seeds there. These ones are magic, like they play magic in balance of these hormones. So if your eggs, your birds are not laying, go and buy those ones. Just slightly supplement in your feed. But then the key important sources of these hormones, of course, 1 is the protein, 2 is the amino acids or the omega acids or the fatty acids. Now, in school, you are told that giving birds feeds that have got a slightly higher amount of energy will also enhance these hormones production in sufficient amounts. But you have to be very careful. Remember, giving birds feeds that is got high amount of energy. It means that we have high amount of carbohydrates. A higher amount or excessive carbohydrate given to the birds will lead to something called ascites or water belly disease. So too much of something is poisonous. What am I trying to mean? We pay much attention to the source of protein that we are using to formulate our feed. The protein source is everything. Use the right amount of soybean in the right form, processed form, given to the birds. Don't say that soybean is very expensive, therefore I will substitute it with this. When you're substituting soy with another one, you're substituting soy with another one, which will just have the proteins, but will be missing out on the essential hormones or essential components that will enhance production of these hormones. Therefore, you'll have no eggs. Who loves you like AIM Agriculture? Honestly, if you haven't enrolled as a student, you are not doing yourself a favor.